Welcome to your sanctuary of stillness, sleepy library. I'm the storyteller of a sleepy librarian. I am so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe you had a long day full of noise and movement, or maybe you are the kind of person who finds comfort in the deep unknowns of reality rather than counting sheep. Either way, tonight's journey is crafted just for you. You have got nothing to do now but rest. Let your mind relax, your breathing slow, and your body grow light as if the heavy blanket of gravity itself has softened. Because tonight we are not looking for easy answers. We are drifting into the shadows of human knowledge, exploring the profound mysteries and unexplained phenomena that keep the world's greatest scientists awake. We will travel gently through things observed but never fully understood, from invisible weights holding the cosmos together to strange signals echoing from the void and the paradoxes of time that challenge everything we know. Some of what you hear tonight may surprise you, or at the very least spark a quiet curiosity as you drift off to sleep. And just before we begin, if these calm explorations help you unwind, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It helps others find their way to this quiet harbor too. One sleepy soul at a time. Now let us begin. Most of the universe is completely missing. When astronomers look out into the deep night sky, they realize that every shining star, every grand spiral galaxy, and every planet we can see only makes up about 5% of the cosmos. The remaining 95% is entirely hidden from us, wrapped in darkness. Scientists call the largest mystery dark energy, a silent, invisible force that is pushing the universe apart faster and faster every single second. We can measure its sweeping effects across space, but we do not know what it actually is. It flows through everything completely out of our reach. Galaxies are held together by an invisible scaffolding. Based on all logical math and the visible matter, we can count the outer edges of galaxies are spinning much too fast. By all expectations of physics, they should fly apart and scatter their stars into the deep intergalactic wasteland. Yet they remain bound in perfect order. The answer is dark matter, an unseen substance that does not absorb, reflect, or emit any light. It sits in a vast, heavy halo around star systems, holding them in place with its immense gravity. We know it is there because the cosmos bends around it, but its true identity remains a ghost in the equations. A mysterious signal from deep space was heard only once. In the summer of 1977, a radio telescope caught a powerful narrow-band signal from the direction of the Sagittarius constellation. It lasted for 72 seconds, perfectly matching the profile of an intentional broadcast from an alien world. The astronomer who found it simply wrote the word while on the page. Despite decades of pointing our finest instruments at that exact same spot, the sky has remained completely silent, leaving the origin of the wow signal a permanent, beautiful mystery. Something massive is pulling our entire galaxy through the dark. Far beyond the dust clouds of our cosmic neighborhood lies a gravitational anomaly so colossal that scientists call it the Great Attractor. It is drawing entire clusters of galaxies, including our own Milky Way, toward a specific hidden point in space at hundreds of miles every single second. Because it sits directly behind the crowded center of our galaxy, we cannot clearly see what is causing this immense pull. We are simply drifting toward an unknown destination, swept forward by a current we cannot perceive. Information seems to disappear inside black holes. These ancient structures are famous for swallowing everything that crosses their event horizon, including light itself. But according to the strict laws of quantum mechanics, information about the matter that falls inside can never be truly destroyed or wiped from existence. This contradiction is known as the black hole information paradox. It creates a deep tear in our understanding of reality, suggesting that either our theories of gravity or our laws of quantum physics are missing a fundamental truth. Incredibly bright bursts of energy flash from the dark for only a millisecond. Telescopes frequently detect sudden intense pulses of radio waves coming from billions of light years away. These fast radio bursts release as much energy in a tiny blink of an eye as our sun does in several days. Some of these signals repeat in predictable rhythms, while others flash just once and vanish forever, leaving scientists to guess about the distant cataclysms that spark them. By all accounts of physics, we should not exist. When the universe was born during the Big Bang, equal amounts of matter and antimatter should have been created. When these two substances meet, they destroy each other completely, leaving nothing but pure light. The early universe should have annihilated itself instantly before stars or galaxies could form. Yet for some unknown reason, matter won the cosmic battle, leaving a tiny surplus that built the world we touch today. Science still does not know why nature favored our existence. A massive unexplained structure is buried deep within the moon. Scientists studying lunar gravity discovered an enormous anomalous weight weighing billions of pounds buried beneath the South Pole Aitken Basin. It stretches deep into the lunar mantle, changing the gravitational pull of the moon itself. Some believe it could be the metallic heart of an ancient asteroid that crashed billions of years ago and became permanently lodged under the surface, a silent relic of a violent past. An undiscovered planet might be hiding at the edge of our solar system. Far beyond the icy orbit of Neptune, objects move in strange tilted paths that defy normal patterns. The way their orbits line up suggests that a massive world 5 times the size of Earth is lurking in the deep, freezing darkness. Astronomers call it Planet 9. It travels on a path so long and dim that it has completely eluded our sight for years, a hidden neighbor waiting to be found. The toxic clouds of Venus hold a strange visual secret. High in the upper atmosphere of our sister planet, there are mysterious dark patches that absorb ultraviolet light in a very specific, unnatural way. Oddly, these streaks change their shapes and contrast over time, shifting across the yellow skies. Some scientists wonder if these highly acidic clouds could be home to microscopic life forms, organisms that use ultraviolet light as a source of energy, surviving in a world of poison. Saturn hosts a permanent geometric storm with perfect straight lines. At the planet's north pole, a massive jet stream spins in a flawless hexagon shape spanning wider than 2 Earths combined. Unlike typical round storms we see on Earth, this atmospheric feature has straight edges and sharp corners that have remained stable for decades. Why a fluid spinning storm forms a geometric shape remains a visual marvel and an unsolved puzzle of planetary dynamics. The outer layer of the sun is millions of degrees hotter than its surface. The visible surface of our sun burns at a scorching 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. However, the corona, the thin ghostly atmosphere that surrounds it, burns at millions of degrees. It is a phenomenon that contradicts basic logic, as if you walked away from a warm campfire and suddenly found the air becoming violently hot. Scientists are still searching for the invisible mechanism that pumps this intense energy upward. Spacecraft experience a tiny, unexpected push when flying past Earth. As multiple robotic probes travel to the outer planets, they swept close to Earth to get a gravitational boost to speed them on their journeys. During these maneuvers, instruments recorded a microscopic, unexplained change in their velocity. This anomaly suggests that our understanding of gravity near large spinning masses might still contain a subtle hidden flaw. The Oort cloud surrounds us in complete shadow. Astronomers believe our solar system is enclosed by a theoretical giant sphere of icy rocks and comets stretching nearly a light year into space. It is thought to be the birthplace of all long-period comets. However, because this region is so immensely distant and dark, human eyes have never actually seen a single object within it, relying entirely on the whispers of mathematics. The universe should be teeming with life, but we see nothing. Based on the hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy alone, planets are common and life should have emerged in thousands of places. Yet when we listen to the stars, we hear only an empty silence. This contradiction is the Fermi paradox, asking the simple, haunting question, where is everybody? We float in a quiet solitude, wondering if we are truly the only ones awake. A distant star dims in ways that defy classification. Located over 1,000 light years away, Tabby's star exhibits strange erratic drops in its light. Unlike normal planets that block starlight in neat, predictable patterns, this star suddenly loses up to 22% of its brightness for random durations. Theories range from clouds of jagged comets to massive artificial structures built by distant civilizations, but the star continues its unpredictable dance in silence. The Voyager 1 spacecraft heard a faint, persistent hum in interstellar space. In 2012, the lonely probe left the boundary of our solar system and entered the vast, pristine vacuum between the stars. Shortly after crossing over, its instruments detected a continuous, gentle vibration in the thin plasma of space, a low cosmic hum that scientists did not expect to find in the quiet void. Mars lost its global magnetic field and its warmth in a sudden geological shift. Billions of years ago, the red planet was a blue world covered in liquid water and wrapped in a thick atmosphere. Then its internal core cooled down, shutting off its magnetic shield and allowing the solar wind to strip its air away. Scientists are still piecing together the exact timeline of how a planet's heart could die so quickly, transforming a warm home into a frozen desert. The oldest light in the cosmos contains a massive, terrifying void. When we map the cosmic microwave background, the fading glow of the Big Bang, we see a nearly perfect uniform temperature. But there is one colossal region that is unusually cold and completely empty of galaxies. Known as the cold spot, this vast void challenges our standard cosmological models, with some theorists suggesting it could be a bruise left from a collision with a parallel universe. Time moves forward and we can never return to yesterday. We experience a strict psychological arrow of time locking us forever in the present moment. Yet curiously, in the fundamental equations of physics, almost every law works perfectly fine whether time flows forward or backward. Science still cannot explain why the universe has such a strict direction from past to future, a current that carries us endlessly without a choice. Deep beneath our feet, near the very core of the earth, lie two massive, unexplained structures. Scientists call them large, low shear velocity provinces, but they are essentially colossal blobs of dense, mysterious rock, each the size of an entire continent. One sits directly beneath Africa, and the other rests under the vast waters of the Pacific Ocean. They change the way earthquake waves travel through the planet, yet geologists do not know where they came from. Some whisper that they might be the ancient, buried remnants of a sister planet that crashed into Earth billions of years ago, permanently swallowed by our world. The deep interior of our planet is leaking a primordial gas. Detectors have found tracing amounts of helium-3, a rare isotope created during the birth of the solar system, escaping from deep volcanic rocks in the ocean floor. This gas was trapped inside the Earth while the planet was still forming from a swirling cloud of cosmic dust. Why it is still leaking out now, billions of years later, remains an elusive puzzle, suggesting the deep mantle holds reservoirs of ancient star stuff that have never been disturbed since the dawn of time. Earth's solid iron inner core appears to be slowing down. Every few decades, the rotation of this heavy, burning metallic ball at the center of our world shifts its speed relative to the rest of the planet. Recent data shows it may have recently paused its spin and could now be turning slightly backward compared to the surface. This slow, deep pulse influences the length of our days by mere milliseconds and alters the planet's magnetic field, but the exact clockwork driving this subterranean dance remains a dark mystery. A strange, continuous hum vibrates through the entire Earth. Even when there are no earthquakes and the tectonic plates are perfectly still, highly sensitive instruments detect a permanent, low-frequency acoustic vibration echoing through the planet. It is completely inaudible to human ears, but it never stops. Some scientists believe it is caused by the constant, heavy pounding of ocean waves against the continental shelves, while others think it is driven by atmospheric movements, a quiet, eternal heartbeat of a living world. Lightning holds a secret that physics cannot fully explain. We see it flash across the stormy night sky, yet when scientists look at the fundamental physics of air, the electrical fields inside a typical storm cloud are actually not strong enough to break through the insulation of the atmosphere and spark a bolt. There must be an invisible trigger, a cosmic catalyst that opens the path for the electricity. Some theorists believe that high-energy cosmic rays, traveling from dying stars billions of years ago, strike our atmosphere and tear open the tunnel that allows lightning to strike. The origin of water on our beautiful blue world remains a historical debate. Earth formed close to the sun, where the intense heat should have boiled away any moisture, leaving behind a dry, dusty ball of rock. Yet today, vast oceans cover most of our planet. For a long time, it was believed that ice-rich comets from the outer solar system bombarded the young Earth and delivered the water. However, Recent chemical analysis shows our ocean water matches ancient asteroids much better, leaving open the question of how a burning, newborn planet managed to hold onto its precious liquid. A mysterious force is slowly pushing our moon away from us. Every single year, the moon drifts about 1.5 inches further into the deep dark of space. It is a slow, silent farewell caused by the gravitational tides pulling between our oceans and the lunar surface. Billions of years ago, the moon was incredibly close, dominant and giant in the night sky. In the far distant future, it will float so far away that total solar eclipses will become completely impossible, a beautiful cosmic coincidence that humans happen to live in the perfect window of time to witness. The atmosphere of the giant planet Jupiter is hiding a profound structural secret. Deep beneath its colorful, swirling bands of hydrogen gas, the space probe Juno discovered that the planet's core is not a neat, solid ball of rock and ice as scientists long assumed. Instead, it is a fuzzy, diluted region of mixed materials that spreads across a massive portion of the planet's interior. It is as if the core was violently stirred into the mantle, perhaps by a colossal collision with a protoplanet long ago, leaving the giant's heart forever blurred. A bizarre planet made largely of diamonds exists in the deep night. Located 40 light-years away, this super-Earth orbits its parent star so closely that a single year lasts just 18 hours. Because of the intense pressure and scorching temperatures reaching thousands of degrees, scientists calculate that at least a third of this planet's mass consists of pure carbon compressed into glittering diamond. It floats through the void, a priceless, burning jewel completely unreachable by human hands. There are wandering planets that belong to no star system at all. These lonely worlds, known as rogue planets, drift through the pitch-black void of interstellar space completely untethered to any sun. They were likely cast out of their home systems during the chaotic formation of early planets, thrown into exile by gravitational bullies. They experience a permanent, endless night, drifting through the frozen dark with no sunrise to ever warm their surfaces, cosmic orphans traveling between the stars. The cold, distant world of Pluto has a heart that pumps ice. The grand, white plains shaped like a heart on its surface are actually a massive sea of frozen nitrogen. Photographs reveal that this ice is actively churning, moving in slow, convective bubbles that erase impact craters and keep the surface looking young and pristine. For a world so small and so far from the sun's warmth, Pluto should be geologically dead, yet something inside its tiny core is still generating heat, keeping its frozen heart beating. A star once vanished from the sky without a single trace. In the year 2015, astronomers watching a distant galaxy observed a massive star, over 20 times larger than our Sun, begin to brighten significantly as if it were about to explode into a glorious supernova. But instead of exploding, the star simply faded away into complete darkness over the following months. It did not leave behind a glowing cloud of dust or a bright remnant. It simply disappeared, leaving scientists to wonder if a star can die quietly, collapsing directly into a black hole without a single sound. The universe contains a giant cloud that tastes like raspberries. Near the center of our galaxy, inside a massive, star-forming dust cloud known as Sagittarius B2, astronomers detected a vast concentration of ethyl formate molecules. This specific chemical compound is the exact ingredient responsible for giving raspberries their distinct flavor and rum its pleasant smell. The heart of our galaxy is quite literally floating in a cosmic mist of sweetness, a poetic detail hidden in the cold vacuum of space. Time actually moves slower on the surface of Earth than it does in open space. According to Einstein's theories, gravity bends the fabric of space and time, slowing down the cosmic clock. A watch worn by someone standing on the ground ticks just a fraction of a second slower every year than a clock floating freely in the deep void. The heavy mass of the planet beneath you is actively pulling on your time, anchoring you to a slightly different reality than the stars above. We are completely surrounded by an invisible ocean of ancient neutrinos. These ghost-like subatomic particles were released during the first few seconds of the Big Bang, and they have been traveling through the dark ever since. Right now, as you rest in your bed, billions of these ancient particles are passing directly through your body, through your house, and through the entire Earth every single second without ever touching a single atom. They carry the oldest secrets of creation, flowing through us like a silent, cosmic wind. The fundamental constants of nature seem perfectly tuned for life. If any of the basic numbers that govern our universe, such as the strength of gravity or the mass of an electron, were shifted by even a hair's breadth, stars would never have formed, atoms would fly apart, and chemistry would be impossible. The universe appears to be mathematically tailored to allow complexity and life to exist. Scientists are left to wonder if this is a beautiful accident, or if our universe is just one of many in a vast multiverse where we happen to win the lottery. A mysterious barrier is blocking cosmic rays from entering the center of our galaxy. When scientists map the highest energy particles traveling through space, they notice a sharp, unexplained drop in density at the very heart of the Milky Way. It is as if an invisible shield is deflecting these fast-moving particles, keeping the central core pristine. Whether this shield is created by the intense magnetic fields of the supermassive black hole or something even more exotic remains an unsolved puzzle of galactic geography. The vacuum of space is never truly empty. Even in the deepest, coldest spaces between galaxies where there are no atoms at all, the void is actively alive. Quantum mechanics reveals that pairs of virtual particles are constantly popping into existence out of nothingness, sharing a brief moment together, and then destroying each other in a fraction of a millisecond. Space is a bubbling, shimmering foam of creation and destruction, a quiet static that hums beneath the silence of the cosmos. The ultimate fate of our universe remains a distant, silent question. Billions of years from now, as dark energy continues to push everything apart, galaxies will drift so far from one another that their light will no longer reach their neighbors. Stars will slowly burn through their fuel, flickering out one by one like dying candles in a vast room. Eventually, the cosmos may enter the big freeze, a state of maximum emptiness where temperature drops to absolute zero and time itself loses all meaning, a peaceful, eternal sleep for the cosmos. We do not know if the universe has an edge. When we look out, We can only see a bubble of space about 46 billion light years in radius, which is the distance light has traveled since the beginning of time. But beyond that horizon lies an unknown territory. The cosmos could stretch onward endlessly, repeating its patterns forever, or it could curve back on itself like a giant sphere, an infinite loop where if you travel far enough in a straight line, you would eventually return to the exact spot where you are resting tonight. The lowest depths of our oceans are shrouded in a permanent, crushing darkness that we have barely touched. We have mapped the surfaces of Mars and the Moon with incredible precision, yet we know less than 10% of what lies at the very bottom of our own seas. In the Mariana Trench, miles below the surface, the water pressure is so immense it feels like having an elephant standing on your thumb. In this cold, ink-black world, strange life forms thrive without ever seeing a single ray of sunlight, surviving on chemical heat from the Earth's crust, a reminder that an alien world exists right here beneath the waves. Deep inside the ocean, there are massive rivers of underwater sound that travel for thousands of miles. Scientists discovered a specific layer of water called the SOFAR channel, where the combination of temperature and pressure acts like a natural acoustic pipe. A sound made in this channel, like the low groan of a blue whale, can travel across entire oceans without losing its strength. It is a vast, hidden highway of sound where the ocean whispers its secrets from one hemisphere to another while the surface remains perfectly still. A bizarre, ultra-low frequency sound once echoed across the Pacific Ocean, baffling scientists for years. In the late 90s, hydrophones underwater recorded an incredibly powerful, booming sound that lasted for nearly a minute. It was named the bloop. It was loud enough to be detected by sensors thousands of miles apart. While some initially wondered if it belonged to an undiscovered sea monster of impossible size, scientists later concluded it was likely the sound of a massive ice quake, a colossal glacier cracking and calving in Antarctica, vibrating through the dark water. There are valleys of fire at the bottom of the freezing sea. Hydrothermal vents, known as black smokers, erupt from the ocean floor, pouring out mineral-rich water that reaches temperatures of over 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Oddly, the water does not boil because the crushing pressure of the deep sea keeps it liquid. Around these toxic, boiling chimneys, entirely unique ecosystems thrive, including giant tube worms and ghost white crabs that do not rely on photosynthesis or sunlight, suggesting life on Earth may have started in the pitch-black depths rather than the light. A mysterious global hum has been reported by thousands of people around the world, yet science cannot find its exact source. Known simply as the hum, it is described as a low, continuous, vibrating sound similar to a distant diesel engine idling in the night. It is typically heard indoors and becomes much louder during the quiet hours of the night. While some scientists blame industrial noise, tinnitus, or ocean waves, the fact that only a small percentage of people can hear it in specific towns remains an unsettling, elusive auditory puzzle. Deep beneath the icy crust of Antarctica lies a massive hidden lake that has been sealed away from the rest of the world for millions of years. Lake Vostok is buried under more than 2 miles of solid ice, existing in complete isolation and total darkness under immense pressure. Scientists believe that this liquid water, kept from freezing by the geothermal heat of the Earth, could host ancient, prehistoric microbes that have evolved along a completely different path than anything else on the surface, a living time capsule from a forgotten epoch. The Earth's magnetic field is shifting its posture in a way that suggests a coming change. Our planet is protected from dangerous solar radiation by a giant magnetic shield generated by the churning liquid iron in the outer core. However, the magnetic North Pole has been wandering away from the Canadian Arctic towards Siberia at an unprecedented speed in recent years. Geologists know that every few 100,000 years, the Earth's magnetic field completely flips upside down, turning north into south, and this recent acceleration has scientists wondering if we are witnessing the slow beginning of the next cosmic reversal. A strange geographical feature in the Sahara Desert looks like a giant eye staring out into space. The Rikat structure, also known as the Eye of the Sahara, is a massive circular formation spanning nearly 30 miles across. It is so prominent that astronauts use it as a landmark from orbit. Originally thought to be an impact crater from an asteroid, geologists now believe it is a deeply eroded volcanic dome that lifted the crust into perfect concentric rings, though the exact precision of its symmetrical circular shape remains a remarkable visual mystery. Every year, millions of tons of heavy cosmic dust rain down on our planet from deep space. As the Earth sweeps through its orbit, it collides with the microscopic debris left behind by ancient comets and shattered asteroids. Most of these tiny space particles burn up quietly in the upper atmosphere, but a significant amount settles gently onto the ground, floating down onto our roofs, our oceans, and our fields. You might be carrying a tiny speck of a distant star that died billions of years ago on your sleeve right now, a silent integration of the cosmos into our daily lives. A beautiful and terrifying atmospheric phenomenon creates a brilliant blue glow high in the night sky. Noctilucent clouds are the highest clouds in the Earth's atmosphere, forming near the edge of space, over 50 miles above the ground. They are completely invisible during the day, but they shine with an ethereal, electric blue light after sunset, when the sun illuminates them from below the horizon. Scientists are puzzled by their sudden appearance in recent centuries, wondering if they are a sensitive indicator of changing methane levels and greenhouse gases in our upper skies. Ball lightning remains one of the rarest and least understood weather anomalies on Earth. For centuries, people have reported seeing glowing, floating spheres of electricity during thunderstorms. These fiery balls can be the size of a grapefruit, moving slowly through the air, floating through solid walls, and even drifting down the aisles of airplanes before vanishing with a loud clap. Because they last for several seconds rather than a fraction of a moment like normal lightning, scientists have struggled for decades to recreate them in labs or explain their stability. There are sudden, massive walls of water that appear in the open ocean without any warning. For a long time, sailors told stories of giant rogue waves that would rise out of a calm sea and swallow entire ships, but scientists dismissed them as myths. That changed when a laser sensor on an oil platform recorded a single 70-mile-per-hour wave that stood over 80 feet tall. Unlike tsunamis, which are caused by earthquakes, rogue waves are freak anomalies born from currents and winds aligning in a dangerous lottery, a sudden mountain of water that vanishes as quickly as it forms. A mysterious forest in Kazakhstan features a lake where dead trees stand upside down. Lake Kandy was formed after an earthquake triggered a massive limestone landslide, blocking a gorge and filling it with cold rainwater. The submerged spruce trees did not rot because the water remains freezing cold, preserving them like needles in winter. Oddly, their bare branches rise above the water like ghostly ship masts, while beneath the surface, the trees still hold their dry needles, creating an inverted, frozen underwater forest trapped in time. The upper atmosphere of Earth rings with mysterious electrical flashes known as sprites and elves. Unlike normal lightning that strikes downward toward the ground, these colorful discharges shoot upward into the edge of space from the tops of massive thunderstorm clouds. Sprites appear as giant, jellyfish-shaped structures of red light, while elves are wide, expanding rings of dim glow. They last for only a few milliseconds, a hidden sky circus that was completely unknown to science until pilots spotted them from their cockpits. Deep inside certain caves around the world, entirely sealed ecosystems breathe a different kind of air. Mughal Cave in Romania was completely cut off from the outside world for over 5 million years. When scientists cracked it open, they found an atmosphere rich in toxic hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide with almost no oxygen. Yet, the cave was teeming with unique life, including blind scorpions, centipedes, and spiders that survive by eating a thick mat of bacteria that feeds on sulfur, a thriving civilization of shadows that needs no light and no clean air to exist. A strange rain has been recorded throughout history, where things other than water fall from the sky. There are hundreds of documented cases of sudden storms raining down thousands of frogs, small fish, or even seeds onto dry towns miles away from any body of water. The leading scientific explanation is that waterspouts or tornadic winds sweep over lakes, vacuuming up the lighter animals into the clouds and carrying them across the sky before gravity reclaims them, a bizarre meaning of weather and wildlife that leaves residents bewildered. The desert holds a musical secret known as the Singing Sands. In over 30 deserts around the world, certain sand dunes emit a loud, low-frequency droning or booming sound that can last for several minutes. The sound can be so loud it mimics a low-flying aircraft or a pipe organ vibrating through the ground. It happens when millions of sand grains of a specific size and dryness slide down the face of the dune together, creating a harmonious friction that turns a quiet hill of dust into a giant acoustic instrument. A remote valley in California is famous for heavy rocks that move across the flat ground completely on their own. At Death Valley's racetrack playa, large stones leave long, winding trails behind them in the dry mud, proving they travel significant distances. For decades, no one saw them move. Scientists finally solved the puzzle by placing tracking devices on the stones, discovering that during rare winter nights, a thin sheet of ice forms on the playa, and as it melts in the morning sun, gentle winds push the ice sheets, sliding the heavy rocks across the slick mud in silence. The atmosphere carries a faint, continuous green light that is completely invisible to the casual observer. Known as airglow, this subtle luminescence is caused by various chemical reactions in the upper atmosphere, were atoms of oxygen and nitrogen that were energized by solar radiation during the day quietly release that energy at night. It prevents the night sky from ever becoming completely dark, ensuring that our planet is wrapped in a permanent, gentle blanket of chemical light that glows softly even on the most moonless nights. The deep ocean holds a mystery known as marine snow, a continuous shower of organic material falling from the upper waters into the abyss. It consists of dead plants, tiny animals, shells, and dust bound together into soft, white flakes. It takes weeks for these flakes to reach the sea floor, drifting down slowly through the dark water. It is the primary source of food for the strange creatures living in the deep, a gentle, endless rain of nourishment that links the sunlit surface to the silent kingdom of shadows miles below. Every living thing on Earth shares the exact same genetic code, yet science has never been able to recreate the spark that started it all. The transition from non-living chemicals to the very first self-replicating cell remains a profound historical blank. Scientists can gather all the necessary ingredients of life in a modern laboratory, but we still do not know how to ignite that initial flame, the primordial quickening that turned ordinary stardust into a living, breathing lineage billions of years ago. Deep in the kingdom of fungi, there is an invisible network that allows entire forests to communicate in silence. Beneath the soil, a vast web of microscopic thread-like structures known as mycorrhizae connects the roots of different trees and plants together. Biologists call it the Wood Wide Web. Through this living grid, trees can share nutrients, warn their neighbors of approaching pests, and even support a dying companion. It is a slow, hidden intelligence operating beneath our footsteps, a collective mind wrapped in the damp dark of the earth. The monarch butterfly completes an impossible migration across continents, guided by a map it has never seen. Every autumn, millions of these delicate creatures fly thousands of miles from Canada down to a very specific cluster of forests in Mexico. What makes this journey a biological marvel is that it takes multiple generations to complete the full loop. The butterflies arriving in Mexico have never been there before. They are the great-grandchildren of those who left. Somehow, a detailed geographic map is written directly into their tiny genetic code, a hereditary compass pointing through the winds. Human consciousness remains a beautiful wall in the field of science. Philosophers and neuroscientists call it the hard problem of consciousness. We can map the physical architecture of the brain, trace the electrical impulses jumping between neurons, and pinpoint which regions light up when we feel joy or sorrow. But science completely fails to explain how these wet, physical chemical reactions translate into actual subjective experience, the personal, vivid feeling of seeing the color blue, tasting a raspberry, or drifting into a dream tonight. Every single night, we enter a temporary state of paralysis and altered reality that we call sleep, yet biology still debates its primary purpose. We spend a full third of our lives in this quiet exile. While it clearly helps repair the body and organize our memories, many animals face extreme danger by sleeping, making it a risky evolutionary trait. Some theorists wonder if sleep is actually the default state of life, and waking hours are merely a restless interruption, a temporary cruise designed to gather fuel before returning to the safety of the dark. There is a creature that can survive the vacuum of space, frozen temperatures, and intense radiation without blinking. The tardigrade, often called the water bear, is a microscopic animal that can enter a state of complete dehydration called cryptobiosis. In this condition, its metabolism drops to nearly zero, and it rolls into a tiny, indestructible ball. They have been brought back to life after being exposed to the freezing void of open space and pressures greater than the deepest ocean, proving that life can survive conditions that do not even exist on our planet. The human body carries more alien cells than it does human ones. Within your gut, your skin, and your mouth lives a massive ecosystem of trillions of microbes known as the microbiome. These bacteria and viruses outnumber your actual human cells, yet they work in perfect harmony with your biology. They help digest your food, train your immune system, and even produce chemicals that directly influence your mood and sleep patterns. You are not a single isolated individual, but a walking, cooperative planet of microscopic life. A strange phenomenon known as place conditioning shows that our minds can heal our bodies using nothing but belief. The placebo effect occurs when a patient is given a completely empty sugar pill but experiences genuine physical recovery because they believe they are receiving real medicine. Their brain actively manufactures the actual chemicals needed to reduce pain or lower inflammation based on expectation alone. It is a striking demonstration of the mind's hidden sovereignty over physical matter, an internal pharmacy triggered by thought. The migration of eels presents a century-old mystery that puzzled even the greatest early biologists. Every European eel, living in quiet rivers and freshwater ponds across Europe, leaves its home at the end of its life and travels thousands of miles out into the open Atlantic Ocean. They all meet in a specific, seaweed-rich region called the Sargasso Sea to lay their eggs and die. The newborn larvae then drift back across the ocean to the exact same rivers their parents left, a journey across thousands of miles of trackless water driven by a silent, ancient call. Our DNA contains a massive archive of genetic material that science once dismissed as trash. Nearly 98% of the human genome does not code for any specific proteins, leading early geneticists to label it junk DNA. Today, we are discovering that this silent territory is actually a complex control panel containing historical remnants of ancient viruses we survived millions of years ago and switches that regulate how our active genes behave. It is a layered library of our evolutionary survival, written in code we are only just beginning to read. The phenomenon of dreaming remains an enigmatic theater of the mind. While we sleep, our brains are often just as active as they are during the day, spinning complex stories, vivid landscapes, and intense emotional journeys out of absolute nothingness. Some scientists believe dreaming is just a byproduct of the brain sorting through the data of the day, while others think it is an evolutionary simulation designed to prepare us for survival. A safe sandbox where the mind plays with reality while the body rests. A mysterious condition allows some people to hear colors or taste shapes. Synesthesia is a neurological blending of the senses, where a stimulus in one sensory path triggers an automatic experience in another. A person with synesthesia might see a brilliant flash of red whenever they hear a specific musical note, or feel a distinct physical texture on their hands when they taste honey. It reveals that our perception of the world is entirely a construct of the brain, an internal tapestry that can be rewired in beautiful, unexpected patterns. There are trees on our planet that are biologically immortal. Species like the bristlecone pine can live for over 5,000 years in the dry, windy mountains of California. These ancient elders do not die of old age. Their cellular structure shows no signs of weakening or degradation over the millennia. They only perish when an external force, like a severe drought, a violent bolt of lightning, or a human hand, physically destroys them. They stand as silent witnesses to history, ticking through the centuries with a slow, patient metabolism that defies the concept of time. The origin of the complex cell structure that built all plants and animals is down to an ancient, accidental merger. Billions of years ago, a simple bacterium swallowed another microscopic organism but failed to digest it. Instead of dying, the smaller cell began to live inside its host, providing it with pure energy in exchange for protection. This internal resident eventually evolved into the mitochondrion, the powerhouse of the cell. This single lucky accident allowed life to transition from simple slime into the complex architecture that eventually created us. We do not know why humans have unique blood types. Every person belongs to a specific group, such as type A, B, AB, or O, defined by tiny sugar molecules decorating the surface of their red blood cells. If a doctor mixes the wrong types during a transfusion, the immune system will attack the new blood immediately. Despite decades of advanced hematology, scientists do not know what evolutionary purpose these distinct blood families serve, as they do not seem to change our health or survival in any predictable way. A rare neurological anomaly can cause a person to believe that their loved ones have been replaced by identical imposters. Known as Capra delusion, this condition leaves a person's vision and memory perfectly intact. They recognize their mother or partner perfectly, but they feel absolutely no emotional warmth when looking at them. Because the emotional link in the brain has been disconnected, the logical mind invents a strange story to explain the coldness, proving that our sense of reality relies entirely on the invisible feelings beneath our thoughts. Birds possess an extraordinary ability to see the Earth's magnetic field using a quantum trick in their eyes. Migrating birds rely on a specific protein in their retinas called cryptochrome. When light hits this protein, it creates a pair of entangled electrons that are highly sensitive to the angle of the planet's magnetic lines. This means a bird does not just feel north or south. It likely sees the magnetic field as a soft, shifting pattern of light superimposed over its vision, a quantum compass steering them through the dark night sky. The deep past holds a massive biological gap known as the Cambrian explosion. For nearly 3 billion years, life on Earth consisted of simple, slow-moving, soft-bodied organisms and slime. Then, in a relatively brief geological window of just a few million years, an astonishing variety of complex animals with hard shells, eyes, and complex nervous systems suddenly burst into the fossil record out of nowhere. This sudden acceleration of nature's creativity remains a dramatic puzzle, challenging our understanding of evolution's steady pace. Our memories are not permanent video recordings, but flexible stories rewritten every time we recall them. When you think back to a childhood summer, your brain does not pull up a fixed file from a hard drive. Instead, it reconstructs the memory from scratch, weaving pieces of emotion, imagination, and current thoughts together. Every time you remember an event, you change it slightly, anchoring a new version in your mind. We are all living in a history constructed by our own imagination, a shifting gallery of personal myths. The very concept of the self might be a convenient illusion created by the brain. Your mind receives millions of separate sensory signals every second, light from your eyes, sounds from your ears, and feelings from your skin, all traveling at slightly different speeds through your nervous system. The brain works behind the scenes to delay some signals and speed up others, stitching them into a single unified moment of experience. It creates the comfortable feeling that there is a single entity called you sitting behind your eyes, a peaceful conductor leading a symphony of shadows. At the smallest scale of reality, particles can be mysteriously linked across the universe, instantly sharing information across light years of empty space. Albert Einstein called this strange phenomenon spooky action at a distance, but today it is known as quantum entanglement. When two subatomic particles become entangled, a change to one instantly alters the other, even if one is resting on Earth and the other is floating near a star at the opposite edge of the galaxy. It suggests that beneath the physical space we can see, everything in the universe remains quietly and deeply connected. A single particle can exist in multiple places at the exact same time until someone looks at it. In the strange realm of quantum physics, matter behaves like a wave of possibilities rather than a solid object. This is known as superposition. A tiny electron does not have a fixed location. It floats in a cloud of potential choices until an instrument or a human observes it, forcing it to choose a single reality. It is as if the universe refuses to paint the details of the world until we turn around to look at it. The famous double-slit experiment reveals that the physical world changes its fundamental behavior based entirely on whether it is being watched. When scientists fire particles through two parallel slits onto a screen, the particles form a wave pattern of interference as if they were ripples in water. However, if a camera is placed near the slits to track which path each particle actually takes, the wave pattern completely vanishes, and they act like tiny solid bullets instead. The mere presence of an observer rewrites the laws of physics. Time might not actually exist as a continuous flowing current, but rather as a giant, unchanging landscape where past, present, and future are all written at once. According to advanced modern physics, our perception of time moving forward is a grand psychological illusion. In the block universe theory, yesterday, today, and 1,000 years from now all coexist simultaneously in a vast four-dimensional fabric. The moment you were born, the room you are sleeping in tonight, and the distant future of the stars are all permanently etched into reality. There is a theoretical mathematical bridge that could connect distant points in space and time, a shortcut through the cosmic dark. Scientists call them Einstein-Rosen bridges or wormholes. If you imagine space as a flat sheet of paper, a wormhole bends that paper until two distant edges touch, creating a tiny tunnel between them. Traveling through this tunnel could allow someone to cross billions of light years in a single step, or perhaps step out into a completely different era of history, a hidden doorway woven into gravity. Our universe might be just one single bubble in an infinite, bubbling ocean of parallel realities. The multiverse theory suggests that when the Big Bang occurred, it sparked the creation of countless other universes, each expanding in its own direction with its own unique laws of physics. In some of these worlds, gravity might be too weak for stars to ever form, while in others, history might have taken a slightly different turn, an endless array of cosmic variations playing out across the infinite dark. We are completely unable to find a single equation that connects the grand universe to the subatomic world. Physics is currently divided into two separate kingdoms that do not speak to each other. General relativity explains the sweeping curves of gravity and massive stars beautifully, while quantum mechanics rules the chaotic dance of atoms with perfect precision. Yet, when scientists try to combine them into a single theory of everything, the mathematics completely break down into nonsense, proving that a fundamental secret of nature is still hiding from us. The universe may actually be a giant, three-dimensional hologram projected from a flat, two-dimensional surface at the very edge of space. The holographic principle suggests that all the information building our physical bodies, our houses, and the distant planets is actually stored as complex data on a distant boundary. What we experience as reality is merely the projection of that data into space, an elegant cosmic illusion where depth and volume are just a trick of the light. Light travels at a strict speed limit of about 186,000 miles per second, but science does not know why nature chose that specific number. This velocity is the fundamental cosmic speed limit. Nothing carrying mass can ever travel faster. It is the anchor for all physics, tying energy and matter together. Yet, there is no mathematical reason why light travels at this precise speed rather than twice as fast or incredibly slow, a fixed rule of our reality that simply exists without an explanation. A paradoxical puzzle asks why gravity is so incredibly weak compared to all the other forces of nature. A tiny, ordinary refrigerator magnet can easily pull a metal paperclip upward, defying the gravitational pull of the entire planet Earth beneath it. This massive imbalance is known as the hierarchy problem. Some string theorists believe that gravity feels weak because it is actually leaking out of our universe into extra, hidden dimensions that human eyes can neither see nor touch. A whisper of a larger reality. The empty vacuum of space holds a mysterious energy that is mathematically far too small yet infinitely too large. When quantum physicists calculate the amount of energy naturally bubbling within a single cubic centimeter of empty space, the math predicts a number so colossally huge it should have torn the universe apart a fraction of a second after the Big Bang. Yet, astronomical observations show that the actual energy present is nearly zero, a massive contradiction that represents the largest mathematical error in the history of science. Time actively stretches and warps around heavy objects, creating a phenomenon where a person can age slower than their twin. Gravitational time dilation means that the closer you are to a massive body like a black hole or even the core of the Earth, the slower time ticks for you. If a clock were placed on the peak of a high mountain and another at the bottom of the sea, The clock in the deep water would lose time, lagging behind its sibling because it is anchored deeper in the planet's heavy gravitational well. There is a hypothetical particle called a tachyon that is theorized to travel faster than light, meaning it would move backward through time. According to the special equations of relativity, such a particle would never be able to slow down below the speed of light. It would exist in a permanent state of inverted time, receding an echo before a sound is made and arriving at a destination before it ever departs its home, a mathematical ghost that challenges our strict rules of cause and effect. The material world we can touch is actually composed almost entirely of completely empty space. If you were to remove all the empty space from within the atoms of every single human being on Earth, the remaining solid matter of the entire human race would fit inside a single sugar cube. The solid feel of your bed, the weight of your blanket, and the shape of your body are all just the result of electrical fields pushing against each other, a gentle framework of force holding back the void. Our universe might be part of an eternal, breathing cycle rather than having a single defined beginning. The Big Bounce theory suggests that the Big Bang was not the start of time, but merely the result of a previous universe that collapsed under its own gravity, squeezing all matter into a single point before exploding outward once again. We could be living in the 50th or the millionth iteration of a cosmic heart that expands, rests, and contracts throughout an eternity, an endless loop of cosmic breathing. A profound thought experiment suggests that if an artificial intelligence grew powerful enough, it could simulate our entire reality inside a computer. The simulation hypothesis asks the unsettling question of how we can be certain we are living in the original, physical world rather than a highly advanced digital creation. If our universe is defined entirely by mathematical rules and pixel-like quantum units, it becomes indistinguishable from a perfect simulation, a digital dream running smoothly in the quiet dark. Information itself might be a physical form of matter, the fifth state after solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Some physicists argue that a single bit of digital data carries a tiny, microscopic amount of physical mass. This means that as humanity creates more digital files, photographs, and scripts, the planet is becoming imperceptibly heavier with information, suggesting that knowledge is not an abstract thought but a tangible substance that bends the fabric of space. The antimatter version of gravity remains a delicate, untested question. While we know that normal matter attracts other matter, scientists have spent years trying to see if antimatter falls downward in the exact same way or if it experiences a form of anti-gravity, falling upward into the sky. Recent experiments at high-tech laboratories suggest it falls down normally, but the extreme difficulty of catching and measuring these volatile particles leaves a lingering shadow over our understanding of nature's symmetry. The very edge of the observable universe is moving away from us faster than the speed of light. Because space itself is expanding uniformly everywhere, the most distant galaxies are being carried into the deep dark at an accelerating pace. Eventually, their light will no longer be able to cross the expanding gulf to reach our telescopes. They will slip quietly past our cosmic horizon, vanishing from our sight forever, leaving our future night skies looking increasingly empty and dark. We do not know why the universe chose to be orderly instead of chaotic at the very beginning. According to the laws of thermodynamics, systems naturally move from order to disorder, a concept known as entropy. The early universe must have started in a state of incredibly low entropy, a perfect, pristine arrangement of matter and energy. Why the cosmos began in such a highly organized, beautiful state remains the ultimate mystery, a quiet baseline of harmony that allowed everything else to unfold. The 100 mysteries of our reality are now complete. We have traveled from the deepest trenches of the sea to the furthest edges of the stars, through the codes of life and the paradoxes of time. Yet, as you lie here in the deep comfort of the night, you can feel that the greatest truth of all is how peaceful it is to not know. The universe is massive, ancient, and full of secrets, and it is holding you safely in its quiet order while you rest. Let your eyes grow heavier now. Let the last of my words dissolve into the steady, rhythmic drumming of the rain against your window. The quantum shadows are still, the dimensions are at peace, and the cosmos is whispering its final lullaby. There is nothing left to do but drift away. Sleep deeply, beautiful soul. Sleep well, and good night.